President Biden visited Baltimore Wednesday to tout his recently passed infrastructure bill. The president is expected to sign the bill early next week after Congress passed it on Friday. While at the Port of Baltimore, the president said that the infrastructure plan will help fix America's tangled supply chain and help bring down the price of goods. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang reports.
President Biden today touted his infrastructure bill at the Port of Baltimore, but acknowledged a major concern for Americans. Costs are rising.
Many people remain unsettled about the economy, and we all know why. They see higher prices. They go to the store online, or they can't, or they go to the store or go online, and they can't find what they always want.
The congested supply chain has helped drive prices up. The infrastructure bill includes $17 billion to revitalize coastal, inland, and land ports. But it's unclear how that could immediately help the massive backlog at West Coast ports, where 81 container ships sat waiting to unload goods this week. Congestion has slowed deliveries and triggered worries about holiday shopping.
Suddenly, when you go to order a pair of sneakers or a bicycle or Christmas presents for the family, you're met with higher prices and long delays, or they say they just don't have any at all.
Small business owner Constance Benham runs a clothing store outside Houston.
I'm calling to check on my back orders for...
She's had to wait up to 10 months for shipments to arrive, leaving some shelves empty and forcing her to make tough choices.
It just kills me to have to charge my people more money. But if they're charging me, then I have to turn around and charge my customers. So that's been a huge problem lately, is that my freight is really high. There's not a day or a minute that goes by that I don't think about it. It's constant.
And Weijia Jiang joins me from the White House now with more. Weijia, so how long will it take for the money from the infrastructure bill to actually reach states and for them to put it to use?
So President Biden said recently that there would be some shovel-ready projects ready to go within 2 to 3 months. Of course, that means new jobs, that means new projects that will help make the infrastructure better, right? But the White House has really struggled to provide any specifics, and we've certainly been pressing them all week, behind the scenes, during press briefings, for any kind of timeline, for any kind of specific list of projects that the administration has already identified that they will begin, and they have not been able to say that. The president is meeting with his cabinet later this week to talk about the implementation, and certainly we do expect different agency heads will be able to provide some details after that about the rollout of the money, but it's still a big open-ended question of exactly how and when the money will be funneled through. We do know for the broadband piece of this, the Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo explained that each state would get at least $100 million. They would have to present a detailed plan about broadband expansion to the administration that they would help to review and put together. And so that has some clarity. But in terms of all these huge projects that are going to create all these jobs, Lana, we still have a lot of questions.
And on that, Weijia, you reported that the president says the infrastructure bill will help America's current inflation problem. Have we gotten any clarity from the White House about how they expect this bill to do that?
Well, the president was at the Port of Baltimore to highlight the infrastructure plan for a very specific reason, because he believes that that port in particular can serve as a blueprint for what other ports across the country can be. He points to modernizations and grants that have already helped that port, which is why, you know, the White House believes that things are relatively running smoothly there compared to some of those West Coast ports that we have seen with such a massive backlog. And so he says this is a great example of how new investments at ports across the country will lead to moving things around sooner. If you can transport things faster from the ports to the shelves, that means there is supply. That means, in theory, that the prices will start to go down. But of course, we don't know when all of this will have an immediate impact on the backlog that you're looking at right here. We know that this week alone, 81 container ships were waiting to leave that port with so many goods on there. So it's hard to tell how the infrastructure money is going to immediately help these trucks get to where they need to go so that people have things to buy at a more reasonable price.
Yeah, and all these problems with inflation. It actually has West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin raising concerns about new spending, as you're well aware, and that's in particularly acute when it comes to President Biden's Build Back Better bill. That's the social spending and climate plan. So where do negotiations on that legislation currently stand?
I think the White House has been really focused on this major achievement of getting this bipartisan infrastructure bill passed and to the president's desk. In fact, he plans to sign it on Monday. And so, negotiations are ongoing for his social spending package. But you raise a really important point, Lana, because Manchin, even before the figures came out today about this record increase for decades on prices, he was already expressing concerns about cost of everything going up. And so the timing is not ideal for this, pretty grim report to come out, which prompted Manchin to tweet today, blasting, Washington and saying that Americans really need help. So it is going to be a tough sell for the White House, but the chief of staff earlier made other public remarks, and he said that it's actually an argument for the social spending bill because he believes that it will help families in so many other areas cut costs that, it will ultimately help people feel like they have more to make ends meet.
Sure. We've heard the White House make that point, particularly when it comes to child care costs. Right. Weijia, before I let you go, though, one more question. President Biden is going to be hosting the leaders of Canada and Mexico at the White House next week for the first North American Leaders Summit since 2016. What is that meeting expected to focus on?
Well, I think they will certainly be talking a lot about strengthening ties, having the opportunity to meet face-to-face. But we do know there is obviously an agenda with some pressing issues on it, including ending the pandemic, immigration, the economies. And we also know that it's not only going to be a summit with the three leaders, but the president will have an opportunity to have bilateral meetings with each of these leaders as well to talk about issues that impact, the pair of countries. And so this is going to be, I think, a pretty ceremonial affair because the president is able to host these two leaders. And so it's shaping up to be a pretty big week, Lana, with this meeting, with the bill signing, with more negotiations, and with possibly a virtual meeting with China's President Xi Jinping as well. So it's going to be one of the busier weeks of the Biden presidency.
I'm going to have to send you a gift certificate for some coffee. Weijia, thank you so much for staying late and talking to us. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, Lana.